Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In today's video I am going to show you how to make this card. I have used Elizabeth Craft Designs Garden Party clear stamps. I've used a little bit of masking and some embossing, and yeah, we're going to also use, I've got a few more as well, some of the Cosmic Shimmer watercolor inks and some of the some of the pearlescents, some that aren't, and we're going to make them a bit sparkly by adding some Pixie sparkles to them. So let's get moving then. So I have cut my piece of card already to size, the size that I want for here, for two reasons. One, it enables me to get the center, the image centered, everything sort of stamped, and then allows me to know where my border is going to go, because we're going to stamp the border as well. So the stamps that come with the got a little girl excuse me, and a cat, and if you have a look on the channel, we've got another video that shows me using those with some watercolor pencils. We're going to use this stamp, we're going to use this one to create the image, and we're going to use a little bit of masking for the lanterns. And then this stamp here is the one that I've used to create the border. So we'll do all those. So there's two sort of parts to this. First part, we're going to use the stamping platform, and then the second I'm going to just use a block. So let's bring in my stamping platform. Okay. Oops. Right. So we're going to put my piece of card there, and I'm going to put a couple of my magnets. I will, once I position my stamp, I'll see whether I can get another one in here, which I may or may not. Because I think probably not, because I think what I'm going to try and do is going to do the words at the same time as the stamping the image. Okay, and I'm going to stop because I've realised that I'm doing this the wrong way, and that's what I've realised or remembered now, is that I actually need to stamp these first and mask them before I do this. So let's have a rethink. So this is the first thing I'm going to stamp, and I just want to check kind of roughly that I've got them in the right place for my window box. I want to go a little bit up. We'll go with that. Okay, so we're going to stamp those first. Phew, that was close. Nearly forgot to do that, and then we'd have been in a little pickle. Okay, so I am going to make sure I've got ready my embossing powder, because I'm going to emboss as we go. So we're going to do quite a lot of stamp, emboss, stamp, emboss, stamp, emboss. Because, oh, I managed to get ink on my platform. Bear with me, I'm just going to wipe that off. Transfer. Okay. Yeah, because I want to make sure that all of the image is embossed, but I have to do that in stages. Right, so that's done. And then let's get some of that back in. Okay, and I'm going to heat emboss this bit. I really should let the you see my card is already bowing and it's not started to actually emboss, and that's why you should really let it come up to temperature before you put it to emboss. Right, so that's the first part done, and then because I know that's where I had it, up in the corner, I'm going to put those back down. I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to slightly turn this around, because what I want to do now is to put this on. But before I do, I stamped the lanterns onto a sheet of masket, and I've just cut them out individually because I don't need the whole sort of string with them. And what I did as I cut them out is I wrote on them L left, M middle, R right. Now they do look little and fiddly, which to some extent they are, but actually it's well worth doing this. Let's say I've got, there we go, that one's, this is the left one. It is worth labelling them. I've lost a little bit of plastic it was on. No, I haven't. There. Okay, this one's the middle. Because this gives a good illusion of the lanterns then being on hung up in the window. And there. So I've got my 3 lanterns masked, and now I'm going to place my window over the top so that my lanterns look like they're hung from the corners of the window. And then we're going to come back in. There we go. Now you're talking. Okay, and I'm going to get my ink. Thinking, what's that? That's my little bit of plastic that I didn't remove. Now got ink all over it. It was doing a good job of masking that little bit of the stamp. So I'm now going to bring that down and stamp this. Make sure I've pressed down. And onto that. Good. I'm going to quickly, oh, I've got an inky mark up there, but hopefully we can cover that. Me getting my inky fingers everywhere. Let's just move that off. And then I'm going to put some more embossing powder over the top of that. And you'll see that it doesn't stick to where it's already been embossed, which is good. So I'm just going to stick that bit in that. And then we'll emboss this little bit before we move on to the next bit. We now have our lanterns now hanging in our window. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my stamp. Let's see what ones. Ooh, there we go. Those are the ones. And I'm going to stamp the bloom and grow and emboss those, and then I'm going to start with the edge, and we'll see whether we can cover that little bit up. So here's my, no, that's blossom. I don't want blossom, I want bloom. Bloom. And I'm going to pick my my stamping mat. I'm going to put it underneath here. In a minute I'm actually going to put some paper on here as well, and I'll explain why when we get there. So let's just get our bloom. Bloom is going there, and I wonder whether I can just catch it. Oh, I think I might have made it worse, but we'll see. Let's have a look. We might get away with that. There's my bloom, and I'm gonna do my grow. Oh, ah. This is what happens. You see, this is why I get marked. So I'm now going to wipe my fingers before we go any further, in the vain hope that I won't get any more marks. Right, there's grow, and then grow's going to go down. I think we must have come a little bit lower than we did last time, but that's okay. I go there. And we'll get our embossing powder on, like so. And then move that out of the way so I'm not putting my arm in that one. We'll give these a blast. Like I said, it's going to be a very kind of stamp, emboss, purely because there's a lot of stages to this, and what I don't want is the ink to have dried out in between. So our next stage, I'm just going to grab a piece of paper and put that underneath, because I'm going to be stamping off of the side, and what I don't want is ink all over my inking mat, because this is Versafine. This isn't like a water-based ink. So we're going to do a side at a time, and I'm literally going to stamp off the page. So I'm only getting parts, so I'm creating a border. You know what I mean? Which is why I've got that little bit of paper there to take that extra ink. And so, and one more on this side, and then we're going to put the embossing powder on and emboss that side. There we go. So that's the first edge. Put some powder on first would help, wouldn't it? Might have to, before we do the next bit, I'm gonna push that powder, put that powder back in. So we emboss that. Okay, so that's that first side done. Like I said, before I go any further, I'm going to put some of this back in. It does look like you use a lot, but actually most of it ends up back in your pot. So goes a lot further than you think. Right, so stamp. Let's go back and do the next side. So ink on, and I'm going to turn it round so that I've got a few more little leaves coming up from the little ones. There. There's one. And then another one. We might go a little bit further down this time. There. And that's taken me right to the end. So I only needed to do a couple that time. And we'll put our embossing powder over that and give that a heat blast. And then on to side 3. And I think we'll turn it around that way. Get that big flower in that corner there. Sometimes you look at these sort of smaller stamps and think, oh, well, what do I do with that? But this is sort of the perfect thing. I'm not going to do another one there. I'm going to do it when we go round, and hopefully what I've already embossed will repel the ink so we don't get too much overlap. So this is side 3. And then our last side. Right, oh, let's go back. Oh, look. Brian being not messy and just doesn't work. Right, so that's inked up. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to use the little one that end. Try and get in that corner. There. So yes, we have got a bit of overlap, but it's not too much, and we'll see when how much of the embossing picks up on there. And I need just a little bit, so I'm going to do that little flower there and go in like so, and get our embossing powder on and give that a blast. Okay, so there we have our image, all that inky stuff out the way, and hopefully I won't get anything else where it shouldn't be. So that's back in there. Right, so we now need to add some colour. So as I said, I'm going to be using some of these watercolour inks from Cosmic Shimmer. These ones are pearlescent, so they do need a shake. I have shaken them. I think I can do with another shake. So I have got turquoise cascade. That's turquoise cascade. I've got flamingo pink, holly green. I've got, this one's Ray of Sunshine, I think. Ray of Sunshine? Yes, that's Ray of Sunshine, that sort of vibrant yellow. Then this one's Golden Sunrise. So those are pearlescent, but then I'm also want to use these two. I want a purple and orange. So this is Juicy Orange and Glorious Grape. They are not pearlescent. So what we're going to do to them is add in some Pixie Sparkle highlights, the Frozen Pearl, and that will add in a little bit of our sparkle. Right, so what I'm going to do, these come with in a glass bottle with a nice little pipette, and I am literally just going to drop in a couple of drops of each. Into there. Green. Now we've shaken them so that the mica, the pearlescent, sort of comes to the fore, but in when you put them into a little palette, the colour is still going to drop to the bottom if you're not using it. So just be aware of that you do need to mix when you go back in. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the, don't unscrew it, pull the cap off. I'm going to put some Pixie highlights into so these Pixie highlights have no pigment in them. There's this one which is Frozen Pearl, which is a silvery colour one. I've got it everywhere. No surprise there. And there's a gold one, which I think is called Molten Gold, that don't have any pigment in. They just have the sparkle. So they're brilliant for adding sparkle to things like this. So I'm just adding, that's the Glorious Grape. And this one's the Juicy Orange. I went for a really, really bright, kind of in your face, sort of bright, funky floral with this. Sort of have a little bit of fun with it. So, right, I have my water. So it's just a case now of painting. So I'm going to start with the holly green, and I'm just going to go and find all my leaves on the side, and I'm particularly on the border. I'm not overly worried if I go over the edges. It adds sort of, for me, it adds to sort of that border area. So I am just looking for the leaves. There's a few little ones dotted around here and there on this side. That's it for there. And then we're going to go in and dot in green on here and these leaves, these little bits here. So what you want to do when you're doing this is to sort of work in an area and then leave that area and go and work somewhere else, so that you're not running the risk of muddying colours. So what I wouldn't do right now is to try and paint the box, or because the likelihood, sorry, is, and even doing this with, because the watercolour inks are really quite juicy, I do still run the risk of that happening because they don't dry particularly quick, particularly if you put a fair bit on. Okay, so I think I've got all of that. So let's just give that a little rinse. I'm just going to grab a piece of kitchen roll to make sure that I have rinsed my brush properly, and you can see that I haven't. So I'm going back in to make sure I've got rid of the green. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to do the flamingo pink. And I did all the kind of the little round flowers with the flamingo pink. So I'm not even worrying about the middles of these flowers. I'm just going over them with the flamingo pink. Like I say, I went for the really, really bright colours. Now I am not mixing any, or I missed a leaf there, I can go back and get that in a minute. I'm not mixing any of these colours, but there is absolutely no reason not to. So you can play around with them and see what other colours that you can get. Okay, so I think I've got all those around there. Oh, there. We'll now do the little ones in the middle here. Now you can see I've got quite a lot of ink there. That's what I'm saying. I have to be careful when I go in with the next colour. Even though I've got that embossed line, that I'm not going to end up merging them sort of into the same, and they end up then a little bit mucky. I'm just cleaning my brush off, and I'm just going to go back into the green because I've seen a little leaf. Ooh, rather a lot of water still on the end of my brush there. A little leaf there, and I saw one up there. I'll go back and do that one a little bit better, and there's one there. Right. Okay. So now, now where I put my brush in the water, and I realised, I thought, oh, I've got too much water on that. I've just seen that I've got a big blob of water there. So what I'm going to do is just get a piece of kitchen towel and block that off. Okay. Where should we go now? Let's do our Ray of Sunshine yellow, which I used for all these flowers on the side. Now, like I said, I am kind of working on the edge here a little. Obviously, I'm working on the edge, but I'm very close to a very wet pink. So I just need to be a little bit careful. Now, as I said to you, I'm not too bothered if I'm going over the edge with these daisies here. Kind of adds into that side border, and they're very fine anyway. But so I'm just going over those, and because we've embossed, the embossed line will resist the ink. So I'm not too worried about that. I think what I will do before I go on is I'm going to give it a little bit of a heat blast over these little bits we've done so far. Just particularly in the middle before I start doing anything else on the window. Let's give those, it's the pink flowers particularly, I put quite a bit of ink on those. There we go. We can move on now. Right, so what have we got next? Let's go with, we were still using Ray of Sunshine, weren't we? I know, we'll use the turquoise cascade to do our little lanterns. So, and again, just being careful I'm not getting, I might need to, depending on how we go, I might need to heat blast that in a moment before I try doing the yellow flowers. Otherwise the yellow flowers will end up green. Okay, so we'll leave those for the minute. And then I'm going to do Juicy Orange. So Juicy Orange is one where we've, it's not pearlescent, but I've mixed it in with the Pixie Sparkle Highlights. So go in and do this. So I think definitely once I've done this, we'll give it another heat blast, and then we'll be able to finish the flowers. You see, I've got more ink in some places than others. Now again, the other thing I'm not, whoops, just put my brush in the pink. I'm going to clean that off. What the other thing I'm not doing, I'm not thinking about shadow or, you know, highlights or anything like that. I'm just going for really bold and bright colours, rather than, you know, for a bit of impact, rather than whoa, that was close. Drop the brush, luckily not onto the actual bit of card. Okay, right, so let's give that a quick blast before I try and do the other bits, and hopefully that won't then dry quite nicely. Just be careful, because I've heat set this a lot, this piece of card. Ooh, turn it off. So just be a little bit careful, because the card could start to steam a little bit, as I've kind of put it through quite a bit. Like I said, this is Stamp card, this isn't watercolor card, so you know I am asking quite a lot of it. So I'm going to do the Glorious Grape Purple. However, that's extremely bright, so I'm putting it onto my mat before I put it on, because that is way too bright for to allow the lanterns to show up. Okay, so I might add a little bit more in the colour. But it's easier to add colour in than it is to remove it. So the next thing is our Ray of Sunshine. Oh, and I've seen another leaf. Another leaf there that I haven't done. You do tend to see these things as you go round painting other things. You see bits that you missed the first time. But we can go in and sort those out. I've seen a little bit of orange that I want to put in there. A little bit of green, not leaf. And then I need some more of that lovely Ray of Sunshine just to finish the flowers in our lantern. Because these are inks, they are, by definition, they're very wet, so it's not always easy to control exactly how much you're putting on. There we go. Right, let's put that to the side for the moment. Just clear up here a little bit, and then we can. The card is pretty much done because I've done the mats and layers, and again I've gone for really bright and funky, sort of full on background, really floral. So, like I said, I've already done this. I knew that the this would take longer, so all I need to do is put this on here. Now, you'll have, if you've watched the videos of me doing stuff, I always say that at home this would then go, once I stuck this on, this would go under some heavy weights to try and flatten it out as much as I can, but as you can see, it's very, very bowed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little piece of paper. I know some of that ink will still be wet. What I don't want to do is running my hand over it, trying to push it down. So I put the bit of paper down, the paper's not moving, and then I'm just going, and I can see some of the ink coming through, so I know that some of it was still wet. See, all of that. Now, if you'd have asked me, I'd have said yes, those yellow flowers were wet, but obviously there was a lot more wet. So that it's always worth doing that. So I pushed it down, but I haven't smudged all of that ink. Okay, and then all that remains is for us to put it into the middle of our thing. And I think I will put it on some 3D glue gel. And then we're done. So this is just one of the many things that you could do with Elizabeth Craft Designs Garden Party Clear Stamp Set. There is one other video on our channel that we have recorded using the little girl and the cat with some watercolour pencils, if that's more your thing. So yeah, have a look at that. Thank you for joining me.